All right, today we are pulling back the curtain on one of the biggest revolutions in, well, pretty much everything: artificial intelligence. We're going to uncover the surprisingly simple, almost elegant set of rules that took AI from being this niche science experiment to the world-changing tools you see everywhere, like ChatGPT. So what is this secret recipe? Let's get into it. I mean, think about it. It feels like it was just yesterday that AI chatbots were kind of a joke, right? Good for a laugh, but not much else. And then boom, almost overnight, they're writing poetry, they're coding entire programs, they're acing university exams. It seriously felt like magic. So how on earth did this happen? How did AI's abilities just explode so dramatically, so fast? Now, you might think it was just a messy series of one-off discoveries, some lucky accidents happening in a lab somewhere. But what if it wasn't random at all? What if, behind all that crazy complexity, there was a simple, predictable formula, a scientific principle that once somebody found it, gave researchers a crystal clear roadmap to building more and more powerful AI? Well, that's exactly what a team at OpenAI figured out. Back in 2020, they published this landmark paper where they decided to just stop guessing and start measuring. They treated building an AI like a proper science experiment, and they focused on 3 key ingredients they could control, 3 magic knobs they could turn up or down just to see what would happen. Okay, so knob number 1 is model size, which the paper calls N. Now, the easiest way to get your head around this is to just think of it as the AI's brain size. It's the raw number of connections or parameters inside its neural network. The more parameters you have, the more complex the patterns it can potentially learn. Simple as that. Knob number 2 is data size, or D. This one's pretty intuitive, right? It's just the total amount of text the AI gets to learn from. Think of it like the size of the library it gets to study. Is it reading a tiny pamphlet, or is it reading, basically every book on the entire internet? And the third and final knob is compute, or C. This is just the sheer amount of processing power you throw at the training process. The best analogy here is to think of it as the total study time the AI gets with its library. How many hours, or days, or even months does it get to spend crunching all of that information? So there we have it, our 3 knobs: brain size, library size, and study time. The researchers started training hundreds of different models, just twisting these knobs in every possible combination. And what they discovered? Well, it changed everything. The relationship between these ingredients and how smart the AI got wasn't random or chaotic at all. It was shockingly predictable. And this right here is the money quote, directly from the paper. Performance improves smoothly and predictably. I mean, those 2 words are everything. For the very first time, we had a reliable scientific law that seemed to govern AI progress. They found that as long as you scaled these 3 things up together, the AI just kept getting better. No question. And here's the crucial part. As long as one of these things isn't a bottleneck, holding the others back, increasing any of them, a bigger brain, a bigger library, or more study time, it always leads to a smarter AI. The performance just keeps getting better and better, which for the researchers meant its error score just kept going down. This predictable relationship has a name. It's called a power law. What it means is that if you plot all your results on a special kind of graph, you don't get a chaotic mess. You get a beautiful straight line pointing right towards progress. For AI researchers, this was like finding a cheat code. You didn't have to guess anymore. You knew exactly what to do to get a better model. Just keep moving down that line. But it gets even cooler. The paper actually found a specific mathematical relationship between these knobs, and it revealed some really surprising things about efficiency. For instance, let's say you make the AI's brain size 8 times bigger. Now, logically, you might think you'd need an 8 times bigger library to feed that 8 times bigger brain, right? But you don't. The scaling laws showed that you only need to increase the dataset by about 5 times. This was a huge deal. It proved that bigger models aren't just smarter, they're actually more efficient learners. They can squeeze more knowledge out of less data. And that insight leads us to what is, without a doubt, the most counterintuitive and maybe the most important discovery in the entire paper. It answers a huge question. If you have a limited budget for study time, a fixed amount of compute, what is the absolute best way to spend it? You've basically got 2 strategies. Option 1, you can build a smaller model, a smaller brain, and then use all your compute to train it for a really, really long time until it has learned everything it possibly can from the data. Or option 2, you pour every last drop of your resources into building a giant brain, knowing full well you'll run out of compute way before it's fully trained. You'll have to stop early. So, which is the better bet? The small but perfectly trained model, or the huge but undertrained one? I mean, the conventional wisdom at the time totally pointed to option 1. You train a model all the way to completion, right? Wrong. The paper's data was just unambiguous. The best strategy, and it wasn't even close, is to build the biggest model you can possibly afford, even if you have to cut its study time short. A massive model that's only partially trained will absolutely crush a smaller model that's been trained to perfection. Size isn't just one thing, it's the most important thing. They even mapped out the perfect recipe for this big brain strategy. Get this. Imagine your compute budget suddenly increased by 1,000,000 times. The scaling laws say you should spend almost all of that new power making the model's size drastically bigger. You'd only moderately increase the data, and you would barely increase the training time at all. It's all about the brain size. So why are we digging into a 4-year-old research paper? Because these findings didn't just stay in a lab somewhere. They literally provided the explicit scientific blueprint for the AI explosion that we are all living through right now. The takeaways were just so clear and so powerful. First, AI progress isn't magic, it's a science of scale. Second, there's a predictable recipe you can follow to make models smarter. And third, and this is the big one, bigger models are just fundamentally better and more efficient learners. This paper handed the entire industry a blueprint, and it told them exactly how to invest their billions. Go big. And that's exactly what they did. But okay, this leads to a final and really fascinating question. Can this just go on forever? Can we just keep building bigger and bigger and bigger models to get an ever smarter AI? Well, the paper's own authors looked ahead and found a potential contradiction in their own laws. Yeah, their own equations, when you project them far into the future, predict a problem. At a certain point, this whole big brain strategy could create a brand new bottleneck: data. To keep these enormous models improving, you need an impossibly large library for them to read from, and that could break that beautiful straight line of progress. So to put that in perspective, today the biggest models have hundreds of billions, maybe a low trillion parameters. The math predicts that as we start approaching and then passing the 10 trillion parameter mark, these neat and tidy scaling laws might start to break down. We might actually hit a wall where just making the models bigger isn't enough anymore. And that leaves us with this one ultimate question. Did this one incredible paper uncover the complete instruction manual for building artificial intelligence, a manual we just need to follow to its conclusion? Or have we only discovered the first absolutely electrifying chapter with all the hardest parts yet to be written? The answer to that is probably going to define the next decade of technology.